Hello and welcome to Read. Today we have the third and potentially final episode of my Do I Remember the Books I've Read? Final perhaps because I can't imagine my sister is going to be bothered to do any more of these since I've already gotten her to make 15 examples of this already. But if you haven't been here before, this is a game that I have come up with called Do I Remember the Books I Have Read? I've made 2 videos of this already, and if you go and watch video number 2, you'll notice that it was essentially filmed 30 seconds before what I'm filming right now. But if you haven't been to those videos and you don't want to go to those videos, the quick rundown of the game is that there are a series of books that I have read, and when I read books, I will generally annotate them with, like sticky tags and stuff. The aim of the game is to guess the title of the book based on 3 different bits of information or 3 different clues. The first one is that I will see a single isolated sentence, and that sentence is one that I have highlighted in the past. Next, I'm going to see a complete paragraph. Maybe the whole paragraph will be highlighted, or at least some of the paragraph will include text that I've highlighted, and as seems to be the trend, oftentimes it's a continuation of what clue number 1 is. The third thing is that I will see the opening line of the book, regardless of whether or not I highlighted it. And if I can guess it from single sentence, it's 3 points. Paragraph is 2 points. 1 point if from the opening line. No points if I still don't get it at all. Names, places, and other giveaways will be censored or replaced, just replaced. And a way to win a bonus point is if I get it from, I'm pretty sure I know what it is just from first sentence or the first paragraph. If I can sort of remember what the first sentence is, then I earn an extra point. And that applies at any point. So if I miss it on the first sentence, but I get it on the one paragraph, that would be 2 points. And then if I remember the first line before I see it, that makes it 3 points. Anyway, let's move on. Let's jump straight in. My last episode, I think I did okay. Actually, not really. The way that I performed, to use an Australian euphemism, I would say that I shit the bed in that one because I didn't get, I got essentially 0 points for a Don DeLillo book and a Thomas Pynchon book, which is criminal. But we're jumping in. I'm optimistic. These are the last 5 books that I have, so let's see how we go. Book number 1, 1 sentence. Innocent, I sang of innocence, thinking I sang of love and fame. Well, okay, this... Innocent, I sang of innocence, thinking I sang of love and fame. Firstly, a very beautiful line, but what the heck is going on? Who would have said this? Is this a poet who's written a prose? Poet who's written something like a prose thing, or it could just be a collection of poetry. Innocence, I sang of innocence, thinking I sang of love and fame. This is really ringing a bell. Feel like this is a female author? Innocence, I sang of innocence. See, something that's popping into my head is I'm wondering, it's not The Bell Jar by Sylvia Plath, but is this Emily Dickinson by any chance? Is this a collection of her poems? I don't think so. Innocent, I sang of innocence, thinking I sang of love and fame. Cool sentence, but I'm not going to linger too long because I know I'm not going to get it just from this. Let's see a full paragraph. Okay. Daily then I pastured with that audience 2score nans and my doe-eyed nymph, to whom I sang songs perforce original, as I was ignorant of the common store. Innocent, I sang of innocence, thinking I sang of love and fame. Blank put down her jug, swept back her hair, smiled and listened. In modes of my own invention, I supposed, I sang my vow to make a name for myself in the world at large. Firstly, this is stunning, and I really don't remember this. It's not Paradise Lost by Milton. I think I've got this. I think this is Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. This is seeming like the scene where Frankenstein is like hoveling in a hole and watching like the family. And it would also, like, I mean, firstly, like, daily then I pastured, so we're automatically jumping back to, like, anything pre-20th century. Two score nans and my doe-eyed nymph. Two score nans and my doe-eyed nymph, to whom I... Yeah, I'm really, like, I'm just kind of narrowing down what books I reckon I've read that would have this prose style. In modes of my own invention, I suppose, I sang my vow to make a name for myself in the world at large. No. Ooh. Okay, so some other ones is, some other options. We've got Moby Dick as well. This is falling within that area. Or is this Leaves of Grass? Two score nans and my doe-eyed nymph. Innocent, I sang of innocence, thinking I sang of love and fame. Blank put down her jug. The thing that's making me not think it's Leaves of Grass is that there's a name, there's a person. Blank put down her jug, swept back her hair, smiled and listened. But Leaves of Grass is the closest thing I can think of. Okay, hierarchy is this. I reckon it's Leaves of Grass. Then I think it might be Frankenstein. There's a slim chance that this is an early section of Moby Dick. Let's move on to the first sentence. I think this is Leaves of Grass. Okay. The first sentence is, one way or another, no matter which theory of our journey is correct, it's myself I address, to whom I rehearse as to a stranger our history and condition, and will disclose my secret hope, though I sink for it. Okay, I think this is Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. This is the best hope. It was the initial gut instinct. I didn't commit to it, so I'm not going to give myself 2 points. If I get it from this, it's just 1 point. Is this Frankenstein by Mary Shelley? No! It was Lost in the Funhouse by John Barth. Okay, hold up. Let's just jump back and, 0 points, but let's just highlight that John Barth, in his seminal postmodern, I can't believe I was like, 18th century. Daily then I pastured with that audience, two score nans and my doe-eyed nymph, to whom I sang songs perforce original, as I was ignorant of the common store. Innocent I sang of innocence, thinking I sang of love and fame. Blank put down her jug, swept back her hair, smiled and listened. In modes of my own invention, as I supposed, I sang my vow to make a name for myself in the world at large. And that's John Barth. Wow. Gee whiz, gang, I would fully never have thought of that. But props to you, John Barth, rest in peace. Had this really surreal experience, actually, where very shortly after John Barth died, I saw his doppelganger somewhere, like to the point where I was like... But anyway, John Barth, if that's not a... Okay, and we also gotta give me a little bit of a break in that one, because that's... that is a collection of short stories, so the first example wasn't really relevant or related to the first sentence, which would have come from Night Sea Journey. But Lost in the Funhouse, John Barth, we have we're not looking good here, but let's just move on. Book number 2. First sentence, or one sentence. All this has always been, and he had never seen it. He was never present. Ooh. All this has always been, and he had never seen it. He was never present. Okay, let's use some clues. We're doing like the GeoGuessr equivalent. He was never present. So we've got a person, probably a father, who is in a scenario where things are going down, but he's not noticing it. Are we going to have that resurgence where back in the very first episode of this series, I thought it was Toni Morrison, I mean, to be honest, I'm still reeling with how much I completely failed with John Barth. But anyway, focus. All this has always been, and he had never seen it. He was never present. We got a semicolon. Initial gut impressions. Again, I'm thinking this is a female writer, but she was completely wrong last time. All right, let's see. This is one paragraph. All this had always been, and he had never seen it. He was never present. Now he was present and belonged to it. Through his eyes, he saw light and shadows. Through his mind, he was aware of moon and stars. Cool sentence, cool prose. Okay, first prediction is that I'm going to get all zeros for all 5 of these books, but I'm sure this is going to be a fun journey nonetheless. Why am I thinking of the Satanic Verses by Salman Rushdie? I don't think so. I think Rushdie has maybe a more distinct prose style than this. Any books related to an estranged man? Now his mind was aware. Don't think so. I'm gonna be clutching on this first sentence to give me something. In the shade of the house, in the sunshine on the river bank by the boats, in the shade of the sallow wood and fig tree, blank, the handsome blank's son, grew up with his friend blank. Sallow wood and fig tree. Sallow wood and fig tree. In the shade of the house. So it's not Morrison because wow, it's okay. I'm again. It's like I'm vaguely kind of sort of remembering this opening in the sunshine. In the sunshine on the riverbank by the boats, in the shade of the sallow wood and fig tree. It's a very like, in the shade of the house, in the sunshine of the riverbank by the boats. Grew up with his friend. Okay, who grew up with a friend? Let's go through the catalogue of characters who grew up with a friend. Do you guys have any ideas? In the shade of the house, in the sunshine on the riverbank by the boats, in the shade of the sallow wood and fig tree, blank, the handsome blank's son, grew up with his friend. Okay, who's got a handsome father? Who's got a handsome father? Do I have Madame Bovary here? Is this? I think I do. Which would make it not be Madame Bovary. Yeah, it's not Madame Bovary. I was thinking of Charles for a moment. All right, 2 zeros in a row, but it's all right. I've enjoyed having fun. Let's see. Book title. Siddhartha by Hermann Hesse. Okay, yeah, I do remember this. Always was, always present. Yep, enlightenment. Yeah, grew up with his friend. Who was the friend again? I mean, was it old mate who went and followed the Buddha? Like Buddha proper, and then Siddhartha goes on his own journey. Yeah, okay. Sallow wood and fig tree. Okay, you know what? So I don't think... So firstly, if I knew it was Siddhartha, I definitely wouldn't have gotten that first sentence. But I feel like maybe I could have thought about the enlightenment feature of it. But yeah, Siddhartha by Hermann Hesse. That's all right. 0 points, but infinite fun experienced. Let's move onward. Book number 3. You gonna give me something? You gonna give me something that I'm gonna get? Blank was the happy man towards whom almost every female eye was turned, and blank was the happy woman by whom he finally seated himself. Happy man towards whom almost every female eye was turned, and blank was the happy woman by whom he finally seated himself. Are you all thinking what I'm thinking? Because I'm thinking that this is a story of a man who loves someone most ardently, and it is a truth universally acknowledged that every man, blah 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 blah, good fortune is in want of a wife. You know what? No fear, Shakespeare. I'm locking in Pride and Prejudice. Let's go to the first one full paragraph. Yes, this is so Pride and Prejudice. I'm fully okay. Yes. So all the same things before, and then and the agreeable manner in which he immediately fell into conversation that was only on its being a wet night and on the probability of a rainy season made her feel that the commonest, dullest, most threadbare topic might be rendered interesting by the skill of the speaker. Is this... So it's not Elizabeth, I think it's Jane talking to the kind of golden retriever type guy. Still, well, I mean, it's going to prove if I'm right. I'm probably moving on too fast, but I'm confident in my assessment of this being Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. First sentence, it is a truth universally acknowledged? Yes, it is a truth universally acknowledged that a single man in possession of a good fortune must be in want of a wife. 4 points. Yes, Lord. Thank you, Jane Austen, for writing some awesome and memorable lines. This is Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen, scoring me 4 points and getting back in the game. Oh man, I was feeling like a Samuel Beckett character, you know, like my swords are deep and I'm not often out of them. But Jane Austen coming in clutch. How delightful is that writing? Anyway, moving on, book number 4. One sentence. Am I going to get this? On his tomb, as in his life, Blank is surrounded by a world of changing phenomena in which he may not participate. On his tomb, as in his life... Okay, so something I'm just thinking. Is that a typo? On his tomb, as in his life, Blank is surrounded by a world of changing phenomena in which he may not participate. Because if it's in his tomb, then that means a different thing. But if it's on his tomb, then I'm almost wondering... On his tomb, who gets buried? I mean, Queequeg gets buried in Moby Dick. In a sort. Who used the word tomb? As in his life, is surrounded by a world of changing phenomena in which he might not... Okay, hot take. Real hot take. I'm thinking this is Moby Dick. Something about on his tomb. I don't know if that's a typo creating a red herring, but also the fact that, you know, like Queequeg is coming from this like noble savage thingamajig and the world is changing around him. Could this be Moby Dick? Let's see. One paragraph. I do not think this is Moby Dick. Blank himself is one image. On his tomb, as in his life, Blank is surrounded by a world of changing phenomena in which he may not participate. His problems in life begin with the insatiable greed and end in death by want, a paradox with significant cross-reference for erotic desire. Could still be Moby Dick. But his life and implications remain an implicit feature of Blank's treatment. I'm guessing that's a different Blank. So perhaps we are not justified in drawing them out. We must turn to another category of creatures who appear in the dialogue and who share Blank's dilemma in its main outlines as well as in its attitude to want. Okay, so hold up. Quick maths. That last Blank who share Blank's dilemma in its main outlines as well as in its attitude to want. So Blank is an it, not a he. But Blank himself is one image. On his tomb, as in his life. And it's really hard because I'm sure that like the blanks are sort of different. Is surrounded by a world of changing phenomena in which he may not participate. We must turn to another category of creatures who appear in the dialogue. What dialogue? Who appear another category of creatures who share Blank's dilemma in its main outlines as well as in its attitude to want. Throwback to previous episode. Is this the name of the rose? Blank himself is one image. I feel like I'm getting phantoms. Why am I getting phantoms of Umberto Eco's writing? Tentatively, perhaps feebly, perhaps ludicrously locking in the name of the rose because I'm really just not thinking of anything else that it could be. A paradox with significant cross-reference for erotic desire. A paradox... Okay. It's non-fiction, right? Like, it's just obviously non-fiction. So, Blank himself is one image. What would be a non-fiction book that I've read that's like this? And I can't look at the books I have here because it's not any of these books. First sentence. Let's go. Let's move on. It was blank who first called blank blank. No one who has been in love disputes her. This is Eros the Bittersweet by Anne Carson. It is a non-fiction book. It was Sappho who first called love bittersweet. Or who first called Eros bittersweet. No one who has been in love disputes her. Great iconic first line, is non-fiction. And okay, so let's try and think about, erotic desire, maybe that could have been a thing. Who share blank's dilemma in its main outline. Or maybe that third blank from one paragraph wasn't even a third blank. Anyway, this is Eros the Bittersweet by Anne Carson, an awesome book, my introduction to Anne Carson, who has gone on to then become one of my favorite writers. I'm going to give myself 1 point for that, for getting it from the title. If you haven't read any other Anne Carson, of course I recommend reading Autobiography of Red, but also her essay collection, or her poetry collection rather, is called Glass and God, and I recommend reading it just for the glass essay. Number 5, let's go. 4 points, baby. Call me Ishmael. This is Moby Dick. For small erections may be finished by their architects, grand ones, true ones, ever leave the copestone to posterity. God keep me from ever completing anything. Call me Ishmael. Moby Dick has come in clutch. Oh my gosh. So 1 full paragraph. Let's go. Yes, and I even remember, I fully like, okay, this is the 1 full paragraph. Finally, it was stated at the outset that this system would not be here, and at once perfected. You cannot but plainly see that I have kept my word, but now I leave my cytological system standing thus unfinished, even as the great cathedral of Cologne was left, with the crane still standing upon the top of the uncompleted tower. For small erections may be finished by their architects, grand ones, true ones, ever leave the copestone to posterity. God keep me from ever completing anything. This whole book is but a draft, nay, a draft of a draft. Oh, time, strength, cash, and patience. And I physically remember where I was sitting, which was in the south, basically like whoop whoop nowhere equivalent of Austria. I was sitting on my aunt's lounge and I read that out loud, and I just like, that was when I knew. I was like, yeah, I really love this book. The first sentence of Moby Dick is call me Ishmael, and Herman Melville, you've given me 4 points. Wow, so slow start, kind of came in clutch a little bit here and there. Thank you, of course, to firstly, thank you to my sister for, again, doing all of this work. Thank you to Jane Austen and to Herman Melville for writing immediately recognizable prose. Thank you still to the other authors, Anne Carson, John Barth, and who else was it? Herman Hesse, for writing still great lines, but unfortunately not immediately recognizable to my brain noggin. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for hanging around. Had you guessed any of these, or did you know what these books were before I guessed them? If you have, then I would love to know. And thank you again for watching this third and, at least for a while, final installment of Do I Remember the Books I've Read? Short answer, sometimes. But it's okay, because I still remember enjoying having read those books, and so that memory in my head is nice and warm and sustaining. But yeah, here's to more reading books, here's to more having read books, and once more, thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in whatever the next video will be.